and the Dynamite Book. We took some time off last week because y'all were wilding and people need to I mean, y'all wilding this week too, but this time it ain't got nothing to do with me. So, but hello everybody.
Wait, no. Before we do that, I'm gonna wake it up because Lyric is too nice. And I don't even care if nobody ever sees this, but it's important to me that I put this out there. The way that y'all be talking about Black women in and around the wrestling community is absolutely insane. And for whatever fucking reason, last week Lyric was the target, and we don't.
You started going off, and you started breaking up.
The devil.
I can hear you.
But I will say, you are allowed to disagree with people. You are allowed to have different opinions. There is no need for you to be an absolute dick. And people were going way too astronomically far, and you start attacking people for their identities. All right, nobody bitch. Yeah. So I don't know. You got to deal with that in your own house with your therapist. I don't know. Leave it.
This is how I feel about it. I went through I feel like if there's any great place to say this, I feel like obviously is here. It's still Women's History Month, so I'm just gonna go for it. I feel like whenever you're doing something that's never been done before, it's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. That doesn't mean that it's okay, because y'all were definitely talking out of your necks for sure. And I went through like a week where I was just like, should I do this? Shouldn't I do this? And like, also like, it was a lot of weirdness, Like you got people screenshotting stuff and saying that but blocking me. So they can't actually tell me and you're talking behind locked accounts, etc. And I see everything, guys. I really do. I see everything, but I see it. I've gotten to a point to where I do myself a disservice by responding to everything. Like if it's not directed, like if you don't say it directly to me, it really doesn't matter. And also like some people, all they have to contribute to this community is just tweets. They don't have any actual real opinions, basis of knowledge. We don't go to the same places. We don't see the same people. And you can call me whatever you want, but you'll never be able to call me untalented. And you'll never be able to say you'll never be able to outwork me. And I that's what I'm focused on. If you see anything that I post and put out, I'm focused on letting my work speak for itself. And it always does, because while y'all talking
and you
shit,
should, because you're
working
good at what you do.
Thank you.
You're good at what you do. And so you should wake that up. Well, see, here's my thing, right? Here's where we differ, right? Lyric is a writer. She is all of these amazing, talented things. I'm a hoot. All right. That's all I am. Okay. So Lyric she has so much grace and poise, and I don't, and that's okay. But so if y'all got something to say in or around, y'all got anything to say to Lyric, direct to the Black Girl Wrestling account, because I get down for each and every single one. Ho, I will dox your mama. I will find your. I'm kidding, but all that to say, Lyric is a lot more healed and advanced than I am. Find another target.
I am there. You know what? I do agree on the healed part, because, and honestly, you can all Google this about me. It's not public knowledge, but I used to be a bit of a hothead. Like I used to actually be like the girl who used to lead protests, halfway across the city and stuff, like a real hothead, firecracker. And I've really calmed down. I've tried to be a lot more like, let the work speak for itself. But, I am a hothead. And, it came out a little bit last week because I definitely told somebody their birth certificate was an apology letter. And that just slipped out. It just slipped out. Like, I forget myself sometimes because I'm a reformed hood rat. I'm so sorry. I do my best. I'm trying to be calmer in this phase. Like, when I was still your age, I say this like I'm not like 2-3 years older than you, but I was still actively my first Twitter account, I was actively arguing with people, telling them to come outside, like come outside. So
I'm on my 10th Twitter account, bro. I'm not because I sure enough I had to delete half my shit. Because when I tell you, Lyric, I wasn't even playing. When I saw that first tweet, my first instinct was like, oh, I'm gonna say something that is all the way out the box. And I did,
really
and
terrible.
then I had Homer people DM me like, you might not want that on your digital footprint.
You know what's so crazy though? The craziest part was that I was watching Dynamite and I had the best time. I was having the best time at Big Business. And I think my last tweet that night was, this was so magical. I love professional wrestling. And so I ended up going to sleep super late. So I don't wake up until like 11:30 a.m. And my phone is buzzing off the hook with text messages. I get on Twitter, it is a war zone. And you know one of those things, you're like, I wonder who everybody talking about. I said, who is everybody talking about? I said, this is crazy. I looked over, I see Keeks going in, I see you going in, I see all of my friends going in. I saw Charlie talking, I saw Haley.
I couldn't let it go. Because I couldn't let it go. And but I literally, because you texted me after, and I was like, "Nah, girl, I've been in the trenches."
I said, what is happening
on people? I told one girl, I was like, "Yeah, every day you wake up, God sighs and disappointment," and she was like, "That is too far," and I was like, "Your parents took it too far," but you know what? Cooler heads prevailed, and I've said, to your point. And like kind of getting back to a little bit of a more serious note with that, like there is actually only so much that people can take, and what people don't realize is that like when I was talking to somebody earlier, like when we say like, oh, Black History Month, like Women's History Month, everybody likes to like give a shout out during those times to give whatever as like a one-time thing, when in reality is that this is like the day-to-day experience of what it's like to be a Black woman navigating this space every single day. So if there's real life support, it needs to be coming every single day, because at the end of the day, who was really getting down with it when it came down to it? It was me, it was Keeks, it was the other Black women in and around this space who have, who take those things to heart and just cannot quite let them slip. So all I will say is, if you really want to be like down and really trying to be an ally, get in the trenches with me, or, maybe we can all heal together, whatever. Maybe I think I'm going to rebrand. Before we get into actual Dynamite, I will say I think I'm going to rebrand. Eventually, I'm trying to be about hustle, loyalty, and respect.
I think, you know what, though? I do think, like, how do I say it? I think that there needs to be more space for people to say exactly what the fuck they mean. I feel like too many people talk in circles, like, in these spaces sometimes. And, for trying to, like, and I think a lot of that comes from wanting to be cool with certain people or whatever. But, like, at the end of the day, wrestling's supposed to be about fun. If, like, the wrestling that you watch and cover doesn't make you happy, why are you doing this? Wrestling is expensive. Doing anything this expensive to be miserable and a hater is disgusting. And I also would like to say that a lot of, never mind. Maybe I should stop. Maybe I should stop. No,
say it. You go, then I'll go. Why not?
I was going to say that when we get to the point to where we feel like certain Black women deserve protection and certain don't, because of something as simple of what type of wrestling promotion you cover, that's really weird. And here's the thing: I'm not a person who I feel like, oh my gosh, I need to be protected. More so, this, and like most people, like within like the orbit of like that we know this, but I'm more so focused on how everybody else is treated. Like, I'm more one of those people, like, you can say whatever you want to me. I'm just more so, I think about how does this trickle down to the other women in this space, especially people who might have gotten into it because, like, you know, they needed one person or two people for support, and they looked to me and they looked at other women in this space for that support. And like so many people, and I think I started to get discouraged, but because I started getting messages from people saying like, you know, I wanted to start podcasting, or I was excited about this wrestling thing, but like I see how you get treated and I'm scared. Like I'm scared of, you know, putting myself out like there like that, to be mistreated like that, especially like by my own community. And just want everybody to know, like, people see, like, you know, and you might not care about how I feel. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't really care how you feel at this point, but your friends who are interested, your Black women friends, like, you know, like who might be interested in wrestling, who might be interested in covering AEW or Japanese wrestling or, you know, Brit Rest or something. They see those things and they internalize it. And it is right. You can't tell anybody like, oh, you're wrong. It's not that hard. It's not like that, because it is. It is. Somebody has a different conflicting opinion, and then it's suddenly like it becomes a big hate train of like, you know, and it's just like Loserville. We never see you outside. You're the same people who 2 months ago were in my DMs, but that's a whole nother.
You kiss your mama on the mouth. You can't afford deodorant. Okay, this is the most attention from a woman you've probably gotten in your life. That's why I really stopped responding to people, because I was like, you know what? You've probably never interacted with a girl, like real life. This is probably this is the biggest moment of your life. And I'm not doing that shit for free no more. So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, and then we can get into the actual show, but it's important to note, because that is part of the reason why we didn't want to do this last week.
We didn't want to do this
because like there was just so much craziness and so much like hatred for
negativity.
No reason. And she didn't even do nothing. So here's what I'll say. I was just gonna say real quick. Lyric ain't even do nothing. I have. So if you really want to get down and get a bar for bar with somebody who probably deserves it, Dani don't miss. Come get some. But, yeah.
And here's the thing. I would like to say what I didn't appreciate the most was all the sneak dissing. Everybody, you know, I can at least respect it for the people who encounter me directly. But I would like to say to all the women in the space who felt like it was appropriate to try to throw me under the bus for 15 seconds of fame for men, but didn't actually approach me directly. I see you. And a lot of other people did too.
Writers.
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, if you're not a girl,
let's get into Dynamite.
God hates you. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, guys, we have a little bit of a secret.
Yeah, we have a secret.
I was gonna not a great one either. Okay, so as people with lives outside of wrestling, sometimes things happen, and unfortunately, somehow both me and Lyric missed the first match.
And listen, y'all know if we knew it was Ospreay Shibata, that would have never happened.
No, I never would have let that happen. But transparency is important, and we will obviously make it top priority to watch this match and
after
really appreciate it the way that we need to. But 100%. We didn't want to come on here and lie to y'all. I'm sure it was great, but I
would like to just go ahead and give it 5 stars. I'm just gonna go ahead and give it 5 stars just because.
Shibata, I love you.
And Will Ospreay, bruv, you are amazing. I'm gonna give you 5 stars. Yes. Oh my gosh, I loved your friendship bracelets.
Do you want one? As soon as I tweeted it, I was like, I didn't realize I forgot what was going on today. I just made this is just for fun, guys. This one says bruv and this one says cowboy shit. Yes. What do you want yours to say? I made one. Speedball said that they wanted one, so I made one for him that said make haste, because that was
fun. Ooh, you know what? I want a Willow one. Give me a Willow one.
What?
Make me a Willow one.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Got you.
But yes, we're just going to go ahead and give Ospreay and Shibata 5 stars. We haven't seen it yet, but I know it was great. But I started the show literally right at the Bucks promo, which was directly after it. So I would like to say that the Bucks giving Renee hell was hilarious. Nicholas, my fault. Let me stop before I get cussed out too. Nicholas Jackson was so unhinged, quite hilarious. He said, "Where is Alex Marvez? You know, they've been bullying him for the last couple of weeks." And then we went into Bucks versus Private Party. We had Okada watching backstage, which was, it should not have been as hilarious as it was.
It was very funny. And my friend who doesn't watch wrestling, she was like, why does he look so intense? I was like, he's focusing.
That's Big Kazoo.
Leave him alone. You don't get it.
Big Kazoo, you have to be there. But I would like to say this match right here, the tag division is back, baby. They were bumping. I said, oh my gosh, I haven't seen the Bucks this motivated outside of course, the Sting match. Like in-ring. Oh.
No, they put their boots on tonight. They was working.
They put their boots on like it was 2019 again. Private Party 2.
Oh my God, is that Private Party? Yeah, look. Here's what I'll say. First off, I saw that man in that suit, and he looked like Odu from Curious George, the man with the big yellow hat. Yeah.
Somebody did that picture, and I said, oh.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, come on, go ahead, bananas. But the match itself, I loved it. When Private Party went for the more bang for your buck, I was sitting there. I was like, guys, also, I really, really wanted Private Party to win this tag tournament. I knew it wasn't going to happen. And especially when they put the brackets out and I said, they got to get the Bucks. Like, no, it's done for. But Private Party, the limit is their ceiling is does not exist. They really have the potential. And I think that they absolutely at some point need to be tag team champions. Obviously, with the story that you're telling with the new elite, it just makes more sense for it to be the Bucks, and you're never going to have a bad Bucks title reign. But you know, I loved it. I love Private Party. We gonna get our lick back. All right, now it's 1-1. You got the tiebreaker.
Absolutely, and I think it's going to mean so much more when, like, they finally, win. It's really great to see. Everybody feels so motivated right now. And I felt like for a while, it didn't feel like that in AEW. It felt like there were a lot of big stars who were kind of on autopilot. And don't get me wrong, the Bucks' autopilot is better than a lot of people's full effort, but you can tell.
You can tell.
And I think like right now you can tell they are so motivated. Private Party looks amazing. The tag division feels exciting. And yeah, that was just absolutely great.
I do have to say, the fall on the EVP trigger was actually, my first thought actually is because the Bucks are such good storytellers. I was like, what is he selling? And I was like, oh no, that nigga just failed. And I just think it's really funny that like my immediate first thought was like, wait, what's the story? Oh, he just messed up. But it was indeed divine intervention because that was God saying that he wanted DEI tag champs. But we're going to get there, everybody. We're going to get the CRT as much as we need to. All right. And eventually, yeah, we're going to have this place looking like
real woke.
Yes, for the real woke crowd.
Yeah, real CRT in here. Hey, I got my CRT Bible right here.
Bro, if you not BLM, take it home.
Like I said, I really love this match. Tag team division is back. And what I loved was this was pretty much transitioned straight into, we had another arrival, which was our CEO, coming back. And she came out looking as fabulous as ever, and we went into the women's match. And I would like to say this too. What also really felt really refreshing about this episode of Dynamite is that, don't get me wrong, the last 2 Dynamites have been really great, especially, last week being paired with Rampage, but there hasn't been as much usual wrestling content as we typically get. And this episode was definitely mostly wrestling, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, you went to say that. I was like, the women's match was after that, like already? Whoa.
Yes, the women's match was in the first hour, and I would like to say it's really refreshing now. It feels like all the divisions are really competing. It feels like the tag division is competing to be at the top of the card. The women's division are competing to be at the top of the card. Even in the men's division, like I feel like you have different people trying to make their title be the most important. The world title picture feels really important. The TNT title picture feels important. The continental title picture feels super important. It all feels super. Everybody's really everybody's so competitive. And this, outside of Willow versus Riho, and I think this was probably the best Dynamite women's match of the year so far. And I think that this was strong. And I think that especially Anna Jay's been getting a lot of hate recently. And I don't like that. And I think that some of y'all definitely been ODing. But one thing that she typically gets criticized for a lot is her speed. And I love that she started off the match at a really, really great pace. Everybody looked super good. Chris and Willow looked like real killers and gorillas. Yeah, they looked like absolute killers. They just powered through everybody. And man, when Willow hit that pounce, it started beating on her chest in front of her. She said, "Fuck up, Big 3. It's just Big Me." Oh my God,
nigga, Prince outlived Mike Jack. Did you hear? Look, this match, I really, really enjoyed this match. And even I had a hard time predicting who I thought was going to win, because I thought Statlander was going to win. That we would do Julia and Stat, and we would do Mercedes Willow away from the title, because I don't really want Mercedes in the TBS title picture, because we gonna Tony Storm, come on.
I do think she should be in the TBS title picture, and this is why. I think that the women's world title needs to come off of Toni Storm, but I do think that it's too early to put the women's title on Mercedes. And the reason why is because whenever she gets that belt, she's going to be holding it for at least
a while.
And so there's so many women. And the same thing, I feel like her in the TBS picture is like the equivalent of Okada in that getting the Continental title. I think that she can take this belt and this could be like her little shit. I think I think that also the TBS belt, if it wasn't on Julia right now, we would be having a completely different conversation. If that belt was still on Stat, nobody would have a problem with her, going after the TBS
because
get it off of Julia.
Yeah, and I think, well, I think I'm gonna have to disagree with you, because I think that Mercedes, where I differ is that I think that Mercedes obviously needs to be world champion. I think it needs to be sooner rather than later, but I don't want her to get involved in the Toni Storm stuff. I need someone to take the belt off Toni, and a real grappler.
Absolutely.
Take the belt off Toni before we get Mercedes up there. But I don't know. The TBS title, I think you run the risk of it becoming the secondary title that overshadows the main title with Mercedes in that picture. Because what else is really going on to grab your attention in the main title scene outside of that,
But this is not the first time that's happened. There was probably a solid 6 to 8 months where the TBS title was more important than the women's title.
Yes.
And that's before this big renewed focus. I mean, that's still when Jade had the belt, because
but I don't think that was a good idea.
No, it was. I think it just depends. I think hoopers are hoopers, but like you said, I think that Mercedes cannot get caught in this Tony character right now. Like, let's just be real. Mercedes is still getting out of this super scripted environment, and especially like with her mic work right now, her and Tony together are not a good combination. No. Like, and so I think that one, there's still a lot of unfinished business in the women's world title picture. So like you have Thunder Rosa, who's still never gotten her shot.
I don't want to see that.
Losing the title. I mean,
I hear you. I hear you.
But Thunder Rosa still hasn't gotten her shot. The returning Jamie Hayter, whenever she comes back, is due a shot at the Women's World Championship. You have to think about how she got jumped out.
I'll allow it.
In addition to think about the rankings, Mariah May has been picking up wins. These are 3 different people with very legitimate claims to the AEW Women's World title, way ahead of Mercedes. And also this, I think that with the TBS belt, putting it on Willow is super important, because I think that this sets up Willow versus Mercedes at Double or Nothing, and I think that it has the potential to be the first women's pay-per-view main event. And I think the timing and the story of that is really perfect, because think about how many times Willow has challenged for the TBS title. She's probably challenged for it more than any other woman on the roster for the last 2 years and has always come up short. She's going to finally get crowned, and Mercedes is going to let her get to her height and try to take everything away from her, because she feels like Willow took everything from her, at Resurgence last year. And Resurgence last year is almost a year. It's a year apart from Double or Nothing. It's going to be actually 1 year and 5 days. So I think the TBS title as that vehicle is great. But
see, I don't disagree with anything that you said, but I think that will inevitably probably be bigger and better than whatever you do in the world title scene, and that's an issue.
Yes, that is correct.
So I don't disagree with you. I think those ideas are great. I wish that we were maybe in a different position where all of this could be for the world title instead of for the TBS title.
But I also have a vision. I have a dream.
Oh, okay. Okay. Come on, Martin.
Because, like I said, we're talking about these year anniversaries. Guess what else Double or Nothing is the year anniversary of? Jamie Hayter losing the title and getting destroyed by Toni Storm.
Yeah.
You want to know the only match that can hold up to a Monday TBS title match versus Willow? A Jamie Hayter return getting her lick back.
Against who?
I would say, hey, maybe Toni. I would say Toni Storm.
She better put her boots on in.
Here's the thing. All we knew is we need this title off her. Because guess what? If Jamie returns by Double or Nothing, takes the title off of Toni, what is that set up? What match does everybody want for All In?
Oh. I don't want to support your theory. I don't want it, but go ahead.
Hey, I'm not saying that, I particularly want it, but guess what? Like, there's still a lot of matches that still haven't been ran. Like, there's a lot of matches that haven't been ran. And so, by All In, Mariah, I think that match is going to be Mariah versus Toni, which is not going to need the title. So I think that hopefully this leads to a Hayter return, which will offset the TBS title, becoming, but also at the same time, like, Hooper's got a hoop. Nobody expected Christian to become the greatest TNT champion of all time. And then literally last year, both him and Orange Cassidy overshadowed MJF for most of the year. So there's that.
Well, but see, that wasn't great.
That wasn't a great thing either. I'm not saying that is right.
I hear that.
I'm
No, I hear you. Also, I'm gonna fist fight everybody because why didn't nobody tell me I was still wearing my pimple patches? But now I guess we're living it. But I wanted to say, this match was great. This women's match was great. We got to get out of the four-way vortex that we just seem to do whenever because realistically, what involvement does Anna Jay have in this story? None, but we kind of just put her in here, and you could justify it sort of with the rankings now that we use selectively, but I will say I want to shout out Sky Blue. That code blue was looking crisp.
Absolutely.
That was clean. 100%. She been in the lab.
She been in the booth.
Exactly.
Give credit where it's due. She's been in the booth for sure.
She has. And every single one of those ladies has been putting in the reps and putting in the hours. And Stat and Willow were already, top level, elite level performers. And then Anna Jay and Sky Blue have made vast improvements over the past year and a half. Absolutely. And so it's really cool to see, that take place and to see them built up into a match with such high potential. Because now that Mercedes is here, now it feels like, all right, we're ready. Like, we're taking that next step. Y'all been putting in all this progress and making all these great, improvements. This is like, she's the measuring stick now,
I also think Athena's going to be back by Double or Nothing as well.
God, I hope so.
And that's the thing, that the AEW Women's World title picture can have so much depth after Dynasty. That's why I think, between the Hater return, between Athena coming back, and I think that honestly the most logical step is for Athena to immediately go into the world title picture, to be quite honest.
Deal.
I think she has a bigger claim to the world title picture than Mercedes, if we want to be quite honest.
Yeah. But I think Mercedes should be heel sooner rather than later. And I want her to do a similar thing to the Elite, which is, I am in charge here. So, I actually don't really need to do any of these other steps because I'm me, which is really funny because that's how I operate all the time, but I have no authority in any capacity. So
I think that, but I think that she's going to do that, especially with this women's, that when the Willow match happens, I think that's going to really be her, fuck climbing the rankings. Willow, I hate you. So
no, literally, I hate you. I need her to get on her real. I also think she does her best work as a heel.
100%. And you can tell she's even on commentary, it's itching to come out of her.
She's got that snarkiness and that confidence that people love in a women's heel. But I do think it's just a little bit of she's way wittier than people give credit for, and she's only able to really do that as a heel. As a babyface
is going to bring that out of her.
Yeah, as a babyface, I think she definitely has and continues to struggle on the mic. I've always not thought she was fantastic, but I don't really care, because ring the bell, and there's nothing left to prove.
She's much better as a heel, and I think Willow's smiliness and stuff, it's going to irritate her, and I think that's when she did her best work on commentary tonight. She was
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you got it.
I was gonna say, she would be like, "Oh, look at Sky, look at Anna, look at Chris. Nothing for Willow. Y'all are letting this
hater
you
hold the hate in your heart."
She was like, "This smile is fooling all of you. She's not real. She's not real. I'm going to prove it, guys." I feel like she's going to get in to her crazy young bucks they are right now and be on this mission. I'm going to tell the truth about Willow. I'm going to
expose her.
Exactly.
she going to make a video.
Exactly.
Tea spilling session. But I was going to say, what? Mercedes reminds me a lot of, you may not, I don't know if this makes sense to anyone else, Kenny.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Because
Yes.
sometimes you'll be on the mic and you're like,
yes. And Kenny does best on the mic when he's able to be an anime villain.
yes.
And Mercedes is also an anime villain.
Yes.
And I think that listen, when they're in the right story for it, they're undefeated, man. But when they're not in the right story for it, it's like collector. But they are so good from bell to bell. Who the fuck cares?
Who cares? Who cares?
And it's so funny because guess what? Those are my top male and female wrestler.
Me too. That's funny.
Easily.
But yeah, me too. But I'm not gonna sit here and say that I haven't sat through some promos from both of them that I'm like, because sometimes I listen to Kenny Omega and I love him down. If y'all watch this show at all, you know that me and Lyric do not play.
Not
we
at
love
all.
Kenny Omega. We love Mercedes.
Absolutely.
But sometimes you sit there and you watch those promos and you're like, I understand why the other people got writers.
Yes.
Like, because maybe we could have done some bullet points or something. And you know what really it is, I think, and I said this the other day on Twitter, because Copeland, after he won the title, he was like, everybody was singing my songs, it made me so happy. More y'all should have did theater. That's what it was.
Yes. And you want to know what? That's why Will Ospreay is so good. He has a theater background. His mom was a theater teacher. You can tell the theater to wrestling pipeline is very real. Mm-hmm. And you can tell who's done it and who hasn't. I think Mariah May said she did theater too, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that 100%.
Yes,
so I'm like, if honestly, because if we got y'all a couple of improv classes.
Here's the thing.
It's there. It's there.
I've liked cute babyface Mercedes so far. Mercedes sounds exactly like the Young Bucks, if anybody has to understand. She's convinced like she's the best boss ever. Like she's like, oh my gosh, I'm your CEO. Like, but
the whole division. She's dapping up Rio. She
said yes. That's what a CEO does. She stands up for her people and what she believes in. Like, girl, you just started working here.
She ain't wrestled nobody.
She genuinely believes that, like, she genuinely believes that she is Tony Khan. And I think that's what's so funny. Like, that's what makes her funny. So, like, she just needs to turn completely heel so it can, like, really sink in, because she has the same shtick as the Bucks right now. Like, she's convinced she's doing a fantastic job.
Amazing. It's so good, and it's so clever, especially considering like the way that the Bucks have been, portrayed and perceived and this, that, and whatever, feel however you feel. But the idea that Mercedes steps in here when boss CEO has always been her gimmick, where she's like, good point, everybody. You actually all work for me, And
once we get her, like, when she turns fully heel, then we can get her a faction. She's going to tell these girls, you've been promoted.
You are now one of my elite employees. She sure enough. Yeah, you're right. She's shaking hands with everybody in the back. I'm your CEO. That's what a CEO does. I
want her to join the elite, actually. I think that
I'm not against that at all.
I think she fits in perfectly with everybody. I think that she fits in perfectly. Even Kenny. Like, her and Kenny, they're exactly the same. They're the same person. Low key. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
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 Same strengths, same weaknesses.
Definitely. Although Kenny, he don't work there no more. He's been,
he's been demoted.
You are not one of the elite employees. Yeah, but yeah. CEO, boss, all about money, cash money, Kazu. I love it. I'm all about it. And I think when we talk about like leveling up, Mercedes ain't stepped in the ring yet, and it's already been clear. Like you said, the divisions are now competing within themselves, as they always have, but also against each other, because now nobody wants to be the person that can't hang.
Absolutely. Everybody's stepping up.
everybody, and you have that feeling and that desire. And again, to your point, overall, just like the motivation is just definitely higher than it was probably at any point last year.
I think I also like watching Mercedes. It seems like she's really assessing the division. Like she's taking note. Like she's really assessing them from week to week. Like so people always say in wrestling, "Oh, such and such is going to be watching this match really closely." But it seems like she's really studying the girls. Like she has something up her sleeve. And what I really enjoyed from commentary from this match is that when she stopped focusing on saying like the perfect things at all the time, and she just started reacting to the match. It felt so like she was like, "Oh, I've never seen people. I know the girls don't get down like this where I'm from." Like when they was getting knocked and bopped right in front of her, she was like, "Oh!" She was jumping out her seat. Her jaw was dropping. Like
that's what we want. We don't want the picture perfect by the book. Everybody's so great.
We love Mercedes because she loves wrestling, because of the wrestling fan she is. Like, that's why she's one of the greats up there, like for me, with the Omegas and Danielsons of the world, people who really love wrestling, and so that was really cool to see her like love wrestling. Like when she got up for Sky's finisher, she said, "Cold blue, cold blue, cold blue." I said, "Yeah, Mercedes.
I know what's coming. I know what's coming."
She said, "I know what this part is."
She sound like me.
She said, "Whoa!" When they started getting knocked in that barricade, she said, "Whoa!" She just kept about Chris over and over again. She's so strong. She's so strong. She's so strong. I said, "Oh my God, that's how I talk about her too."
She's so strong.
Oh my God, Teehee, I love you, Chris Statlander. But no, this match was great. I think 4-star at minimum, and this needs to be the. Honestly, everybody else got to step up. And I'm going to be honest. And when I say everybody else, I mean the champions. And honestly, I don't even care about y'all stepping up at this point. We just got to get them belts.
You got to go. We got to go.
We just got to get them belts off you, because between this whole angle has been carried by everybody who doesn't hold the championship. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Right now, the women's title picture completely right now is cold. Mm-hmm. Very cold. I'm gonna be honest. Thunder Rosa isn't a needle mover for me right now. Deanna is not a needle mover. Tony is not a needle mover. The only interesting person in that dynamic is Mariah May.
Agreed. And yeah, and even when Julia came out at the end, I was like, "Girl, you ain't got nothing to do with this." And then I was like, "Oh, this is for the team."
Yeah, that's what I said. I was just like, "What you here for?" And I do with you. I will say though, like, I truly believe, and I don't just say this because like I'm a fan of all of them. I think that what we're going to see with Mercedes and Willow, this slow burn, I think is going to be worth it. And I think this is going to be a generational women's feud that we look back at as the catalyst for a lot of great things.
And I'm excited because we need a women's blood feud. Not even necessarily that there needs to be blood, but you know what I mean, where it's like I need some real haters.
Last year when AEW, it felt like it was at its lowest. Hangman Swerve came out of nowhere, and I felt like that was the first sign that the tide was turning. When Hangman Swerve started,
hate each other.
Hangman Swerve started, and then we went into Continental Classic, and then we could tell, okay, the best days are still ahead of us. We still need that because we need that generational feud right now from the women. I think the last,
and we're gonna get it.
Only one that we've only really had, to be quite honest, was Britt versus Thunder Rosa. I think that was it. And I think for this next wave of stars, because of course, the men's division had it, had Hangman versus Omega, but I think it got to a point last year, especially with the men, where we realized if we don't have Omega, Bryan Danielson, Jon Moxley, what do we have at this point? Because it seems like some of the young stars that we put all of this stock into are not ready to carry MJF. And then Hangman and Swerve stepped up. you know, and they became that. And I feel like I see a lot of that same energy in Willow and Stat right now of like these people are ready to give them the ball.
Yeah, fuck the title. Let's ball.
Yeah, you know, Mercedes is like that perfect conduit for a lot of it, but we need like Willow, Stat, like I think, you know, Athena coming back. Like we have these people now that can really issue in this new, because I think that's another thing too about like the Jamie Hayter situation. I felt like the company and the fans last year spent so much time waiting for her to come back to the point to where nobody else was built to be that popular. No other woman was built to get that level of
just waiting for her.
You could tell that Tony genuinely had no backup plan when Jamie Hayter got injured. For the women's division was gaining so much traction, and it was all on her shoulders. And when she got injured, that was that. That year, I remember last year, we knew at the beginning of that year, we was like, yeah, we're gonna get women's blood and guts. We gonna get this.
Yeah.
When the win was announced, we said, oh yeah, we gonna get a top level singles match. Like people thought they were gonna get Mercedes versus Jamie last year. And then she gets injured, and then it's like, damn, women's division. And so I feel like this year, more stars are being created to where I don't think that will ever happen again, to where all of the pressure is on one person.
Not entirely reliant on it's all your eggs in one basket. That was part of the reason that I think that things got so out of hand with conversation about the dentist, was that all the eggs were in her basket. So if you hated it, you kind of hated by proxy the women's division, because all of them, you know,
no one person should have all that power, you know?
No.
And I even think like right now with the men, with as many stars as they are, everybody understands, from Ospreay to Swerve to Okada to the Bucks, all of these people Takeshita, all these people understand that for AEW to go where we want it to go, it's not about any one of us. It's about all of us. Everybody has to hoop. And I felt like
last year, and that was not the mentality last year.
It got very much so MJF verse and everything else. Oh well. And I feel like this year is very much so team effort, but very much so friendly competition, as in the sense of we all need to work together, but I also want to be the best in the world, which that's how it should be. That's that's Kendrick Lamar's, philosophy. Fuck a big three, it's just big me. I don't know, like, but I digress. The women's match was great. Shout out to everybody.
Do I look like a Hotep right now?
Hotep isn't the right word, but you do look like a very earthy librarian.
Okay. Yeah, no, I thought I might. I was looking at myself, I was like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Moving on. I'm trying to think what happened after that. Honestly, we had a promo that I don't think either of us liked backstage. I'm going to say this quickly. Before, because I know that Dani's going to curse afterwards. I don't think that Hook needs a manager. I don't think that Hook needs a manager, and I'm going to be honest and if Hook did need a manager that wasn't his father, in Team Taz, it should have been RVD. Damn sure shouldn't be Chris Jericho. And this feels forced. This feels very unnatural. And we've been listening to some Kendrick Lamar. I'm a huge hip hop head. I mean, Cole is my favorite out of all of it. But yeah, I have like tons of Kendrick Lamar vinyls. Actually, when Good Kid, Mad City came out, I didn't have an MP3 player. So I actually used to have a boombox that I would plug up and put next to my ear every single night for a month and play Good Kid, Mad City on CD. I had it on CD because I was literally obsessed with. That was before Apple Music was a thing, obviously, but yeah, huge Kendrick fan.
I never had an MP3 player. By the time I was like ready to listen to music, they were like,
I used to use all of the illegal streaming sites to I would burn my own mixtapes and playlists on like CDs growing up and give them out to my friends in middle school. So yeah, but go ahead. I know you have a rant.
Well, I don't know if this has come up before. I'm not a big fan of Chris Jericho. I don't like to talk about it too much because it gets out of hand, but this fucking guy, bro, tell me why. This man already has shirts. They already done put the shirts together. He is an absolute TV time leech. That's what he is. Anytime he thinks that there is a potential for any sort of semblance of a hole for him to fit in, he's going to insert himself into every storyline. He's going to strap himself to every potential rocket. And you know what? I don't hate it because, you know, as I think it was Ralph Waldo Emerson, the great philosopher, once said, hit your wagon to a star. But Chris Jericho, you are not the wagon. You are weighing us down, babes. He why is he here? And him offering advice to Hook. He just beat you. I think he's good. I don't.
That's what I don't understand either. Somebody said Lion Hook just undoing all the good work Samoa Joe did. I completely agree. I felt like the Samoa Joe
Hook looks like a loser right now.
He looks like a loser because, like, why are you talking to this man?
Because
why are you talking to him?
Because lame is contagious. And Hook, we could have been kings, all right? You had that match with Samoa Joe. He was up here, all right? I saw the vision, okay? But loser is contagious. And as soon as you start hanging around too many lames, you start sniffling. And you start coughing. And you start saying, damn it, I caught loser 2. Chris Jericho is loser patient 0. It starts with him. If you find yourself at any point in the same vicinity as Chris Jericho, you are liable to catch loser. Please, please, please take the necessary precautions, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to get you out of there, buddy.
Yeah, we need to move on from this just because the rankings are out, and so that's how we're going to close the show. So we're talking about the new rankings. But next we had Best Friends and versus the Kingdom. This match was okay. I wasn't like particularly enthused, not as much as the first tag match, but it was okay. I'm really excited to see Bucks versus Best Friends. I feel like between this week and next week, these are some really like throwback matches for like the OG AEW fans, you know, like of the AEW tag division. And like, so I'm really excited for that. Like, I'm really excited for that. So
I watched this match. I did not care.
Yeah, I can't say I cared either. Also, but
I
did like the Bucks using the EVP Vader like 3 times. Like, because what? That was fire.
So stupid.
That was fire. They they popped me.
I came out for 10 seconds, went back on that.
They popped me. They popped me so bad. I'm sorry. You can never make me hate them. And what about it? So after that, we went into the main event. Mm-hmm. And the main event was Swerve Strickland versus Konosuke Takeshita. That match got 20 minutes. So the opener and the closer tonight got about 20 minutes each.
Deserved.
This right here? Go ahead. Get it off.
Like, let me say this so we can move on and talk about the match. All right. I said it, but Konosuke Takeshita, first of all, I saw this tweet of this girl. She was like, no, you don't realize people see like everything that you tweet. And I'm like, Wardlow, if you saw me talking crazy about you, I'm kidding. Konosuke Takeshita, if you saw me thirsting after you. I'm dead the fuck serious. All right. I'm so serious. That man, I want to buy him flowers and walk him home. I want to court him properly.
Absolutely.
And ask him to go steady with me. Konosuke Takeshita is so fine. And on commentary, they kept saying, look how big and strong he is. And I was like, I'm trying to focus, guys. Please. Please. That's all. I didn't get that out there. Everybody say they crazy shit about everybody, but I want to keep it perfectly normal and just say that Konosuke Takeshita is an incredibly beautiful man. That's all.
Yes.
And the match was great. I loved it.
Konosuke Takeshita got that dog in him. Let me tell you. His match catalog this year, he said, y'all will never sleep on me again. He might have gotten, like, the thing is, he might have lost to Ospreay and Swerve, but it's very clear he's next up. And with performances like these, the Darby match, the Yuma Yagi match in DDT, the Ospreay match, and the Swerve match. Good golly, Miss Molly. Well, butter my biscuit and put me in the oven. I'll be damned. This is, you know, crazy.
That was the most Black Southern expression I've ever heard in my life. I wasn't expecting that from you. But it was. It was. You had me sitting up here. I was
like, I know his shit cooked. Bro, Takeshita was swinging, throwing, kicking, hitting him around.
And those forearm strikes. That's nasty.
I started growling. Bro, did you see? Nana started praying in the corner. Nana started praying. Like, yeah, that's why I said this on Twitter. I said, the Lord knew not to ever let us have prime Kota Ibushi versus prime Konosuke Takeshita, because we wouldn't have been able to handle it.
Somebody would have.
I think it's really
only one of them would have made it out that much.
You know what, though? I truly believe that Ospreay and Takeshita are this generation's Omega and Ibushi. And it's so clear of just like, you have, I feel like Ospreay's this, how do I say it, like this beautiful wrestler in the sense that his matches feel
in every
like
sense. I'm sorry.
Epics. Yes. Well, yes. But I feel like his matches feel like epics. And I used to always call Kenny Omega is the Andrea Bocelli of professional wrestling. That type of, his match feels like songs that make you cry silently. Just make you cry silently, right? And Ibushi was always this crazy, insane, athletic fuck who never made sense. This strong, behemoth, beautiful Japanese man who is, his talent is otherworldly. Takeshita gives me those same vibes, like literally. And there's one day, because you know, I ain't gonna lie, Ibushi, he's done. I'm not saying he's ever going to go back to his complete self, but he did get a lot of those injuries fixed that were bogging him down. He's been doing crazy moonsaults and, you know, standing.
That's my man, and I'm gonna stick beside him.
And one day, Ospreay Takeshita versus Golden Lovers will feed families.
Mine. Mine. Okay. I will have kids just so they can eat that night.
Damn.
Oh my god. Konosuke Takeshita, I don't understand how he is still the guy taking all the pins. Now, I do agree with the fact that he is now somebody that can just go out there and have an absolute banger match. And so if you need to build somebody up, yeah, fight Takeshita, you know. It's very much a proving ground. But at the same time, just from a momentum standpoint, from a talent standpoint, from really kind of everything, I don't understand how it is Konosuke Takeshita always taking the losses. And well, you know what? I understand it. I think I disagree. You know, I don't want that. I want to make the transition sooner rather than later. I'm gonna need him to, yeah.
The reason why I think I understand what's happening is because it seems like he's having these amazing performances, but what's keeping him back is Don Callis. And I think that it's clear that Takeshita is trying to turn face. Remember, him and Swerve began this match with a handshake. Heels typically don't do that. He's starting to tween more into this face side, which we saw with the Ospreay match as well. And so I think we're getting to a story to where Takeshita is going to decide that for him to become the wrestler he needs to be, he's going to have to break away from Don Callis, which is exactly what I want. And I think
I want the complete and the whole and complete dissipation of the Don Callis family.
Well, yes, I agree.
But I think I would love for that to be the case. I don't think that is anytime soon. You know, I really don't, and hopefully I'm wrong. Oh, I know. Hopefully I'm wrong, but like real life, like I don't see anything changing anytime soon. Which I said, and I think eventually, and we're gonna have to have a Roderick Strong conversation. But yeah, I put that kind of on Takeshita.
Yes, I agree, and I think also Takeshita still actively has matches announced in Japan. He's been wrestling nonstop between the U.S. and Japan. He's the perfect person to hold that belt.
He's putting in work, and he's doing it worldwide.
Which is match. I think that he's the perfect person for that but the international title. And honestly, I think that Swerve and Ospreay are the last people that he needs to be losing to for a while. I think he needs to be kept away from Okada until it's time for them to feud for real. He needs to be kept away from guys like that. Like I do think that Ospreay and, like I said, Ospreay and Swerve are the only guys he needs to be losing to. That's it. And it's understandable why. That it's under those two made sense. But nobody else, no time soon. And I also think
I'm gonna need him. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I also think that this match is they really given Swerve like that Tour de France of the top competitors and making him work for it, because Swerve was tired. But I will say, like, I've never seen a wrestler wrestle as smooth as Swerve. Like the way that he links his moves together. Like he gives a whole different definition to chain wrestling. And it's actually kind of insane the way that he links his moves together so smoothly. And I think that you could tell that's the lucha influence in him. Like he has almost.
That's what I was gonna say.
AEW has developed his moveset to be more strong style based, but he already had that lucha background. So he has like this smooth, hard hitting hybrid. I love it. Everybody, all the top guys right now are acting like top guys. That's what we needed.
Might I throw a query in here, if I will? Why are we being like this today? You were sitting up here talking about Andrea Bocelli. I'm talking about philosophers. I just said the word fucking query. What?
Because you know what? Because this is the most duplicitous show that people are ever going to find. As much as we are goofballs, we're also college-educated, very, very smart ladies.
Yes,
And we say a lot of crazy shit, but we do be right.
Yeah, we giggle, but we know. We know. But I was gonna say, I think I am nervous because of the Will Ospreay effect, because it was so clear that Swerve is next up, but now I fear Swerve might be next up and feel like he's just holding the title to drop to Ospreay. I don't want that. You know, I want Swerve to have the title reign that he deserves, but it's gonna be hard, and it is one of those things, like a good problem to have, because it is iron sharpens iron. That means everybody got to step up. But it is sort of this looming figure. They haven't interacted, they haven't, but Ospreay is always, he's, especially now that you have Okada tied up in the Continental title picture, so he's occupied there for a while. He's not coming straight for the world title, Ospreay is having these banger matches and climbing these rankings, and he doesn't have a set feud yet. Obviously, he's got Danielson, but I think they're gonna actually clear that pretty quickly. You think he's gonna go over, and whether or not he should is another thing. But yeah, I'm a little worried now in having this.
I don't think. Here's the thing. I say this based off of what I've seen from the All In teasers. I think it's very clear. I think Tony is not going to let them even interact at all until we get closer to All In. I agree. A lot of people feel like that's going to be the All In main event, and I'm going to be honest. I don't think that Swerve holding the title from Dynasty to All In is a bad reign at all. I don't think it's a bad reign at all. Really? I think the thing is, I think MJF held the title too long, to where the point is people feel like if it's not a year-long or so reign, it's a failure. But
no. I hear you, and I agree with that. Where MJF kind of his little reign of terror too long. It was and now we associate good title runs with length, and that's not necessarily what it should be. But I mean, the amount of time that it has taken for Swerve to be built into the top guy will be exponentially longer than the amount of time that he spends as the top guy. And I fear once he drops that world title, I think so.
He's only technically really been on the road to the world title since January. So that would be 4 months. The 4-month chase.
I would say formally yes, but
absolutely. I understand.
Sort of thing. And so I also fear okay, fine. There are certain people right now who are always over, are always going to, doesn't matter if they win and lose, whatever. Takeshita ain't won in forever, but belt to belt, don't matter. I fear that if Swerve drops that title.
Oh, dang, froze. Somebody said this in the chat, and I actually really agree with it. In my opinion, a good title reign is dependent on the quality of title defenses before the title is dropped to the next one. I actually really agree with that. I feel like frequency of title defenses and quality is going to be a huge thing here. And it's also who are they going to let him work with? There's a lot of first-time guys. I think you're going to have Eddie Kingston going heel soon. He's going to be a really great guy to, I think, mix it up with. You're going to have Hangman coming back, who's always going to be in that orbit, who I think Hangman, who's probably going to be a heel. I think that's a great opponent for Will Ospreay as well, for somebody to work with. There's a lot of different options right now for these guys to really kind of to stay away from each other. And also, nobody said that Ospreay has to win it all. And this is all speculation. But I personally do not believe that Ospreay should win the title at Wembley this year. I think that you have these guys locked into multi-year deals. You've said that, All In Wembley is going to be this tradition going forward. It's going to be happening just about every year. So you don't have to rush the moment. You don't have to hurry up and rush it like you're never going to get this opportunity again. You can really build to this, because a Will Ospreay pop in Wembley Stadium is always going to be important. It's always going to be a big thing. It's always going to draw people, whether he's in the main event or not. But you have so many other stars. I think that honestly, there's just so many different options for a great all-in main event. Like right now, you have Nigel versus Danielson. Seems like it's going to be happening. You have Okada Omega 5, potentially Mercedes versus Jamie Hayter. You have who else? Hey, whether you like it or not, Swerve versus Hangman is still so fresh and so exciting to where I truly believe that Swerve versus Hangman 4 could be the all-in main event this year. I truly do believe that. Like, I truly do believe that. Like, there's, like, somebody said, Ospreay is 30. Like, these guys are young. Like, you know, like, there's so much that you can do. I don't even think that Swerve has to lose the title. Like, you know, at All In. There's just so many different possibilities. And, like, you know, this is, like, Danielson's last time as a, you know, going to be his first stadium show as a full, and last one as a full-time wrestler. You know, you have hopefully getting Omega back. You're going to have Pac back. You're going to have Okada on the roster. Like, there's just so many different things that you can do. Like, you know, Okada versus Ospreay at Wembley for the Continental Crown. I don't agree with that simply because I would rather have Okada versus Omega. It definitely seems like that's where the story is going. With, you know, the Bucks coming back the way that they should. So I digress. I'm trying, the main event could be Bryan Danielson versus Omega. Absolutely. Like, that is absolutely, that could easily happen. And I think, like, that's super realistic. So, you know, I think that anything could happen there, but I don't think that Swerve's reign would be, you know, tainted by not being, like, you know, a year long. I feel like MJF kind of ruined that for everybody. I think that Kenny's was the only reign that should have been that long, but now we ruined it, and it's too late for that. I don't know if Danny's Wi-Fi is going to come back on, and so, you know what? I'm just going to go into the rankings now. I haven't gone through them, so we're all going to be reading them together. These are the current rankings as of March 27th, which is today. Let's start with the trios championships. So the number one contenders are the Bang Bang Gang. Second to that are the Elite. Third are the Blackpool Combat Club. Fourth are the Undisputed Kingdom. And 5 are House of Black. I agree with these. They need to hurry up and get the belts off of the Acclaim because, yeah, Max Caster. Woo! Next, we have the Tag Team Championships, obviously, are vacant. Number one contenders, you have, you know, Best Friends, the Young Bucks, Mox and Claudio, Big Bill and Ricky Starks, and FTR, but obviously they're in the tournament right now, which is what matters most. And then for the women's championships, you have the number one contenders are Thunder Rosa, Mariah May, Willow Nightingale, Deonna Purrazzo, and Serena Deeb, which makes sense. So it seems like Thunder Rosa will not likely be Tony's opponent for Dynasty. I think that they're going to wait until Mariah May gets to number one before they actually do anything with her, you know, as a contender. And so I digress. And Dani said that she lost her Wi-Fi, and so to give you the people her blessings. So yeah, sorry guys. And then lastly, for the men's championships, the number one contenders are Swerve Strickland, Orange Cassidy, Jon Moxley, Will Ospreay, and Bryan Danielson, which makes me think that there's a really good chance that Orange Cassidy might answer one of these, you know, these open challenges, these TNT open challenges that, you know, Adam Copeland is going to do, and possibly, you know, Kyle O'Reilly. There's a lot of different options here. So super exciting there. And then for Okada, I don't even know, man, who's going to challenge. I think that Orange Cassidy should honestly challenge Okada for the Continental Crown. I think that would be cool too. So these are the current rankings. They definitely look better than the last one. They make a lot of sense. I just need them to be a lot more consistent with them. And it's time for some title changes, especially with Roderick, Tony, Julia. So yeah, I digress. This was these are the current rankings. That was the Dynamite book for this week. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate you always. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lyric Wrestling. And you can find Dani at Dani Don't Miss and at Black Girl Wrestling. Stay tuned for, I have one more trick up my sleeve for Women's History Month that I'm super excited for you all to see. And thank you for everybody that showed me lots of love for the Willow Nightingale interview that recently came out. And if you haven't seen it, it's up on my YouTube, which is at Lyric Swinton, just my first and last name. But until next time, we have closed another chapter of the Dynamite book, and I will talk to you later. Bye, everybody.